everyone, my name is Christine and welcome to my channel. This video is my follow-up video on the COVID-19 vaccine. I got the second dose the other day and I am going to talk about my experiences with it. If you did not already see, you can watch my first video on how I got the vaccine, why I decided to get the vaccine, and how I felt after the first dose. I will link it up above. So to reiterate, I did get the Pfizer vaccine. Today is Thursday, January 7th, and I got the second dose on Tuesday, January 5th, a little over 48 hours ago at the time of recording this. So, going into the second dose, I, of course, saw these news articles. I read the warnings that the side effects of the second dose could be brutal. And I was definitely curious as to what I was going to experience. How bad could it be? What is it going to be like? Ultimately, I think I was just more interested in seeing what was going to happen to me. And yeah, so now I'm going to talk about it. And just a warning, it was not fun. I got the second dose, and immediately following the vaccine, I did feel some slight lightheadedness. It was not severe. I once again had to sit and wait for 15 minutes before they let me leave the building. By the time that 15 minutes passed, I did feel completely fine. I would say about 1 to 2 hours after the vaccine, I did start to feel the arm soreness once again. So I feel like the soreness did set in sooner than it did last time, but the soreness never got as severe as it did last time. So for right now, I'm about almost exactly 48 hours post the second dose. And I mean, I can move my arm completely fine. I do feel some slight pain if I lift it all the way overhead, but it's not enough pain that would limit me from using my arm at all. So that night, I was still just really curious what was going to happen. I did end up getting a temperature so I can monitor my temperature to see if I spiked a fever or anything. I did not feel like I had a fever that night. If anything, I felt very flush. Whether this was vaccine related or something else related, I did really struggle to sleep that night. I mean, you know, part of it was just a little hard for me to get comfortable because my arm was sore, but I mean, there are plenty of other reasons why I could have struggled to sleep. It's not the first time that's happened in my life. I have plenty of nights where I have just not gotten proper sleep for whatever reason. But around like 5, 6 a.m., I decided that it was time to just get up and out of bed. And I realized that I was freezing. And, you know, part of my mind still wanted to be like, I'm not going to get any side effects. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And I attempted to get out of bed and I realized I definitely had the chills. I took my temperature. I did not have a fever. I got up. I made coffee instantly because that was all I wanted, was to drink something warm, because I was so cold. I mean, my bones felt like they were freezing. Granted, it was a chilly morning in Florida, but it wasn't exactly a frozen morning, and I love the cold. I hate the heat. After my coffee, I decided, let me just rest. I'm gonna lay in bed. I'm gonna just try to relax, and I felt miserable. I really did not want to get out from underneath my covers. I felt so frozen, and as I was trying to fall asleep or something, get rest, my body just started hurting so badly. And I initially was like, it's probably delayed muscle soreness from the workout I had on Monday. Like, it's not from the vaccine. But as the soreness progressed, I became more and more convinced that it was indeed a vaccine side effect. My left wrist flexors were super sore, and it's not exactly a muscle group that I work out. And my neck, my upper back, my lower back, I would compare it to, like, I felt like I spent the entire day doing heavy lifting with insanely poor body mechanics, insanely poor posture. It really, really hurt. And then eventually I started to get a pretty bad headache, and I, in general, just did not feel well. I think at some point I did fall asleep for maybe like 20 or 30 minutes, and then the chills were gone. I actually was now feeling very hot and sweaty and wanting to get out of my clothes. So I got up and I had something cold to drink because trying to remind myself I do have to hydrate. Hydration is really important. I was not really hydrating that morning because I didn't want to leave my blankets. And almost instantly after I drank something cold, the chills just like came right back on, and I was so super cold again. And so I should add from that, I also just did not really have any desire to eat anything yesterday. I did not have an appetite until later in the day, but for breakfast, which I had at like 10, was a cup of soup because I could not even fathom the thought of having cereal with cold milk because my body was just internally frozen. I didn't eat anything for lunch. I had that drink of water, and that set me back to my bed where all I wanted to do was sleep. The headache was off and on, but the thing that really got to me was my neck pain and my upper back pain. That was the most challenging. Now, I never did spike a fever. The highest my temperature got was 99.0. And I also really wanted to avoid taking any medication to treat this because these side effects are ultimately a sign of your immune system doing what it's supposed to be doing. I just wanted to try to avoid taking medication to suppress my immune system's natural reaction. While I was going through all of this, I was literally starting to convince myself that I must have caught COVID itself. And I do want to point out, it is impossible to catch COVID from the vaccine, but it is possible that you could have caught COVID shortly before the vaccine and you just weren't showing symptoms yet, or you can catch it shortly after the vaccine before you've developed that full immunity to the vaccine. So I was laying here trying to think about like, gosh, who did I interact with last week? Where could I have gotten COVID from? Should I get a COVID test? What do I do? And the CDC actually has guidelines on this, showing recommendations of if you might have COVID versus the COVID vaccine side effects, because there is a lot of overlap that people experience. And so ultimately what I got from reading this was that if you have like a cough or shortness of breath or loss of taste or smell, it's probably more likely what you're experiencing is from COVID itself, and those signs are not consistent with side effects from the vaccine. However, other things are. So if you were only experiencing like the body aches, the fever, the chills, that's consistent with the vaccine, so less likely that you caught COVID. And also, if all of this stuff doesn't subside after about a day or two, then it might not be the side effects. So around about like 4:35, I finally started to feel well enough to leave my bed. I did get up. I ate like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for dinner. I still didn't have much of an appetite. I did eventually at this time take one Aleve, mainly because my upper back was just so sore. I could not tolerate that pain anymore. I wanted something to help alleviate the soreness that I was feeling in my back. And the Aleve didn't completely kick it out, but it did help to where it became more tolerable. I also only took one pill. So then last night, I really just wanted to go to bed early and try to get a lot of sleep. So I did take one Aleve again before I went to bed. I did end up sleeping through the night, and today I feel like 95% better than I did yesterday. The only thing I really felt today was just some slight fatigue, but let's be honest, I am fatigued like all the time anyways, so it may have been a little more fatigue than my normal fatigue, but I feel so much better. Don't have the chills, don't have the body aches, don't have the headache. It is a whole lot better. So what I want to say regarding this is, I don't want people to be scared of this vaccine. I don't want people to hear about the side effects and say, I don't want to deal with that and I'm not going to get the vaccine. But I do want to be honest with people and know potentially what you might experience and to just be prepared. I ultimately would recommend to not plan on doing anything the day after, just in case you experience this. And if you don't experience it, then great. These side effects, when you read the trials, were pretty much all listed by less than half of the participants. So that means the majority of the people do not experience this. But a lot of them were listed by like 30 to 40% of the participants, so they're not exactly rare side effects either. And there is a chance, a decent one, that you could experience it. So I do want people to feel prepared. I still do feel like the vaccine was worth it, even though yesterday I felt like I got run over by a truck. If the side effects were really just like a preview of what COVID could feel like, I couldn't imagine feeling like that for like 2 weeks. So I'm still happy that I got the vaccine. And again, whether other people should get the vaccine, that's up to personal discretion, up to a conversation with your physician. That is not advice from me, from somebody on the internet. I should also note that one of my coworkers had the second dose yesterday, and today he felt completely fine. He did not experience anything like I experienced. I really do hope that these side effects were just a sign that my immune system was working and doing its thing. Hopefully my body is building some immunity to help prevent myself from being infected with COVID-19. So that is it for my video. Bye.